So the baby's down, and I have my little beverage here. Sorry about the clanking of the ice. I thought tonight I would answer the Vanity Fair Proust questions, the famous questions from Vanity Fair. All right. So, let me I have to play something to pause it because I'm using the TV as light, and it's very strange to me as I'm sitting here with the remote control. It was just regular television that wasn't streaming, so I couldn't pause it. It was very strange that I couldn't pause something, which is weird because before you were never able to pause anything unless it was a videotape, unless it was a VHS. But today everything can be controlled, and so to not be able to pause something gave me a little anxiety, a little panic. All right, here we go. Hold on. Okay, question one is, pause. Question one is, what is your idea of perfect happiness? So two things I've learned about happy. One comes in moments, so it's not a light switch. It's not a destination. There's nowhere to go. I think happy is found, and I think that it's found when you come to a place in your life where you have the ability to discover happy, to notice happy. I think a lot of us are not happy because we don't have the ability to find happy, if that makes sense. And two, I think it's cumulative. I think happy is an overall, it's not about today, it's about the end of the week, the end of the month, it's about, the year, the decade. But if I was to answer this in one word, what is your idea of perfect happiness? My one word would be peace. 2, what is your greatest fear? So, my greatest fear is actually, besides the obvious, which is people I care about and love getting hurt, not them getting sick or hurt, right? But besides that, my greatest fear would be not holding up. So what I mean by that is someone meeting me and saying that you're not who I thought you were. You're not how you present yourself in your books or podcast. That's my greatest fear, and I think this is why when sometimes I get approached, I think the reason why I put on my helmet, get on my motorcycle, and peel away is partly because I'm an introvert. It's weird. I'm not used to it. I don't know what to say. And then I have this fear that they'll be disappointed. So it's like I have to leave before they have a chance to be disappointed. All right. 3, what is the trait you most deplore in yourself? And by the way, answer these questions for yourself in the chat while I'm going through them. So what is a trait that you deplore in yourself? One thing that I don't like about myself, it's interesting because I don't like it about myself, but I also do like it about myself. It's a curse and a gift, and that is, and I'll explain this. So that is, I can be impatient, impulsive, and I can lose myself in my art. So whatever I'm building, I can get obsessive, right? So for example, I have a weakness for food, like many people, and if I tell myself, or if I start, because I see everything in pictures, right? I'm a visual person. So if I start to imagine, say, an In-N-Out cheeseburger, right? I'm imagining it and what that would taste like, and I start to crave it. By the end of the day, that cheeseburger will be in my stomach, no matter what. It will. I will do everything in my power for me to manifest that vision, that craving, that desire. So I don't like that about me, because I think it is a weakness. I think when it comes to unhealthy cravings, like, sweets and stuff, it's definitely not a strength. But I also love it about myself, because that's how I build things, and that's how I give birth to books and ideas. It makes me kind of fearless, because once I see something, I'm like a muzzled greyhound dog, just ripping around that track, and I go after things. I try to make things happen, and so yeah, I like it about myself, and also I don't like it about myself, that trait. All right, number 5. Which living person do you most admire? Oh, this is a tough one. I'm not going to say anyone famous, because, you don't really know the famous person. I mean, you can appreciate what they do, their gifts. Of course, you could admire them in that way, but as like 360 beings, right? The 360, like knowing them and how they are. Like, someone can be really talented, and you could admire that and get to know them as a person, and they're an asshole, and so you don't admire that, right? So I think it would be someone that I know. I'm gonna say my mom right now, because I never admired. I think younger, I never admired my mom, because she just worked a lot, had no life, she has no friends. And as I get older, I'm admiring her more, because of just her courage to come to America with no money and work her ass off. And I'm admiring her consistency, and her living a life alone. And from what I flat out have asked her many times, but from what I see, she's happy, and she just watches Korean dramas all day. She watches Korean TV, comes here once a week to watch Logan for an hour, and she goes on walks. But she's really happy. She says she has no stress, so I admire. She also has never had a drink or a cigarette in her life. She was working since she was 14, and she comes from a world where she was carrying pails of water to her house, because she was the eldest, because there's no running water in Korea at the time. So like that village life. Number 6, what is your greatest extravagance? You know what, I would say my pour over coffee, and coffee doesn't sound extravagant, but if it's the $10 a cup pour over coffee and you're drinking it every day, that I think that could be an extravagance. It's not so much that it's $10, it's the fact that you could get coffee for, $3, but I splurge on it because I enjoy it so much. So I think that, or, machine stuff, so cars and motorcycles. What is your current state of mind? I just got some news from Vanessa that, which is bumming her out, some personal stuff and business personal, and of course that affects me. So I'm worried about her. I hope she's okay. And also trying to give her some space. So that's my current state of mind. What do you consider the most overrated virtue? You know what I think is overrated is, because people are saying it so much, but this idea of vulnerability, in that I think it's overrated in that I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I think people think being vulnerable means to just completely show everything, and I think there's a responsibility to self-expression, especially in relationships. So it's not about, because I used to do this, I found out the hard way. It's not about just purging your feelings. That's not being vulnerable. Yes, it is showing yourself, but it's also showing yourself in a way that's responsible. So you're not putting your shit on someone else, if that makes sense. On what occasion do you lie? I think I lie by omission if I went and ate something bad and feel guilty about it. What do you most dislike about your appearance? I used to hate my nose. I have kind of a wide nose, and my grandma has this nose. Logan has this nose, and you know what? I just had a revelation. You know what's made me accept and like my nose more is the fact that my daughter has it. Isn't that strange? So when I look at my daughter, of course she's beautiful and perfect. And I don't look at her face and say, oh, if this part of her face was different. I don't look at any parts of her. I just think she's just perfect, beautiful, right? But she has my nose. She has a wide nose. It's adorable. It's the miniature version of my nose. And I think seeing it on her makes me accept my nose more, if that makes in a strange way. Growing up, my grandma used to tell me that I had a strawberry nose, meaning like if you took a strawberry, turned it upside down, that's my nose. And it's funny, she said, talking shit about my nose, she had the same exact nose. And so as a 9-year-old, I was sitting in the bathroom with the lights off, because she also said if you squeeze your nose like this, that it would get sharper. So I sat in the bathroom as a 9-year-old for, I wouldn't say hours, but for a long time doing this, wishing that my nose would sharpen. I think because I grew up with all Caucasians around me, they all had sharp noses. Now, if I grew up with more minorities, like if I grew up in Hawaii or something, I don't think it would have been a thing. But I think because I grew up with in the 80s, predominantly all white, and everyone had blonde hair and sharp noses, and I was the kid with a fat nose. So that was that has rolled over into my adult life. I would say that's something I don't like about my appearance. Does height count? I wish I was like 2 inches taller. Anyway, which living person do you most despise? I don't like this question because I choose to not despise anyone. I think despising people is part of the problem with this world. So I don't by choice. I don't despise anyone that activates me or I don't like. I ask myself why, and usually it's has something to do with more of my story than them. When you find someone that you don't like, now of course there are people we just don't like because we don't believe in their values or how they treat other people, or maybe it's a political thing or whatever. But a lot of times we see things we get activated by people, right? There's a lot of transference, countertransference in relationships, and that's why we don't like them. sometimes have to do that. I have anxiety. What is the quality you most like in a man? I love sweet men. If you're just tuning in and you heard me say that, you might be a little confused. Or not, I don't know. I love sweet men. I love men who are, what I mean by sweet is, they can say I love you to other men. They are gentle and sensitive, but also strong, strong, not just physically strong, but just emotionally strong, confident, like a pure confidence, right? Like a very, I know who I am, but I'm also aware of my shortcomings. But men who are kind, men who are sweet, men who are gentle. It's that peanut butter chocolate of like a strong, confident dude who also is sweet and, makes eye contact and listens to you and is able to hold space. That's a lot of qualities. It says, what is the quality? I'll just put them all in a bucket and title it sweet. What is the quality you most like in a woman? Of course I love strong women, but I think women have there's a softness to a woman. And I'm not using the word soft as in like the person's weak. But there's a softness to a woman that I don't know if men have the same kind of softness. It's very hard to explain, but it's I don't know what the word is, because maybe softness isn't the word, but it's I don't have much of a vocabulary, so I might have to use a soft, a tenderness about a woman, a softness. I don't know. I know that sounds very kind of sexist, but I don't mean it in a weak way. I love that quality in a woman. What words or phrases do you most overuse? I used to say dude a lot because I've been saying it since the 80s. And I told myself to stop saying dude. You know what I use a lot that I don't like, I need to stop, is it's not even a word, it's So I say to cover up the silences, and I have to stop. When you have almost 800 podcast episodes, and most of those episodes are you talking to yourself, there's a lot of fucking ums. And this is why I don't listen to anything that I have recorded, whether it's an audio book, podcast episode. I can't listen to it because I'll pull my hair out. I want to edit, delete. And question 15: What or who is the greatest love of your life? Well, the obvious answer is my partner, but I'm trying to be a little less obvious. The greatest love of my life currently is life. I'm choosing to not make it a person. Obviously, if it's a person, it'd be my partner, Vanessa. But the greatest, because it says thing, it says a person or a thing. So if I was to go with thing, the greatest love of my life is my current life, and that includes my story. That includes where I was, where I went, where I am now. Going through many dark tunnels, this whole idea of going somewhere and coming back, changed. That's my greatest love. Is my current life is my greatest love. Everything that's in my life, from my daughter to my partner to even things, this house, my bike. My life is the love of my life. All right. Even this community, I have so much gratitude for this community. Meaning the people who read my books, listen to my podcasts, follow me on social. What word or phrase do you most overuse? Okay, did that one. Number 16. When and are you guys also posting your answers in the chat? I hope you are. When and where were you happiest? Oh, this is a good question. What was it for you? Because this is actually a question. I actually used the word alive. And a lot of times in groups, I ask, when did you feel the most alive? Which is kind of what this question is asking. I'm going to say, you know what? My go-to answer has always been the 80s, fat laces, windbreaker, boombox, me spinning on my head, Dad throwing books at me saying this is not why we came to America. The 80s for me, you know, the Wonder Years, they were very bright, and it's because I got to go out and play while my brother was stuck doing, you know, all the adulting shit. And because I didn't get bullied, and I was able to play with all the cool kids, you know, whether it was breakdancing or BMX bikes or skating. I look back, I reflect, and they were very magical. At the same time, I'll bet you if I jumped into a time machine and actually went to that time, I was also lonely. I was also sad. I was confused. I was seeking positive male role models. Parents were never home. You know, I was one of those latchkey kids. I felt rejected. I felt like an outsider because I was Korean in the 80s. I don't know why he said I was Korean in the 80s. Obviously, if I'm Korean now, it's not like I was black in the 80s and now I'm Korean. But yeah, in the 80s, I was also Korean in the 80s. But you know, so that would be my go-to answer, and I've been saying that answer forever, but I don't think that's it now. Like, if I'm being honest with myself, when and where it says, were you the happiest, I'm going to change it to, it could be any tense, right? It doesn't have to be just past. I mean, I guess everything that's not now is past tense, but I'm going to say now. I'm going to say now, today, when Altadena, where, where Altadena, California, when 2024, age 50, I am no joke, I am the happiest. And I'm the happiest because, not because of things, well, partly because, you know, I don't feel the sky is falling. I have the least amount of stress in my life, right? I'm not living in panic anymore, and I'm not in survival mode. So yeah, of course, that's a huge part of it, and how that affects my state, nervous system, and all that. But and that contributes to, I think, what I was going to say, bringing it back to question number 1. I have the most peace today. I have the most inner peace today. I have the most peace with myself. And when you get to around 50, I think it starts at 40. You just don't care. You give just less fucks. Like, you care about things, but you don't care so much what people think of you. It's just, you've gone too far to turn back. There's this huge acceptance of, look, this is who I am. There's just so much peace, you know, and I think that makes you happier. 17. Which talent would you most like to have? I was going to say a musical talent, like play an instrument or something, because I have zero musical talent. I can't sing, I can't play anything. I was getting good at the recorder, I think, in 7th grade, but didn't pursue it. The talent that I would like to have is more of whatever my talent is. So if my talent is, I don't know if my talent is writing, or I don't really know, like, if I could say this is my talent. I don't know, but whatever that is, I'm assuming it's kind of the stuff that I do. I want more of that. I just want to be better at what I do. I don't want a different talent, right? I don't want to be like great at being, great at playing guitar and then great at doing this. I don't want to be, what is that called? Jack of all trades, John of all trades. I want to be really exceptionally good at. I'd rather be extraordinary at one or two things than be really good at 20 things. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? I think it would be, I just sound superficial, I think it would be my height. I've always, like, I don't want to be 6 feet tall, but I think 5'10" is like the perfect height, at least for me. I'm like 5'8", 5'7.5". Depends what shoes I'm wearing. 2 inches. That's one thing I would change about myself. What do you consider your greatest achievement? Now, let's make it 3 inches. 2 height and then the 1 extra inch somewhere else. All right, what do you consider your great... I'm just being honest. I mean, isn't that what this whole thing is about? Is just being brutally honest. What do you consider your greatest achievement? I don't feel like how do I say this? I don't feel like I've achieved anything great. And I'm not like oh, my ass is asleep. Oh my god. Maybe because I just spend so much time in front of a screen, right? Whether I'm writing books or posting videos and shit. I don't see outside of my bubble much. So as far as achievements, I don't know. It doesn't, I don't think it has to do with anything that's on paper. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, like, what the world thinks of as far as achievements, whether it's building companies or making X amount of money or having certain toys. For me, I think my greatest achievement for me would have to do with something about my relationship with myself, and of course, your relationship with yourself is an ongoing thing forever until you die. But that relationship with self thing, I wouldn't use the word proud. I just feel like I've had a journey. I just feel like you know what it is. Okay, I have the answer, and especially living in Los Angeles. I guess it is a little bit on paper, my answer. So yes, my relationship with self, but it's that I've been able to build a life with nothing. So no, I don't come from poverty, but we were never rich. I was never given anything. Yes, designer jeans. My mom bought me, food, clothes, skateboards. My parents, bought me cars, right? All of that, sure. So yes, of course, that's not. That is definitely that. There is privilege in that for sure. But I didn't go to an Ivy League school. I didn't go to USC, which if you have a lot of money, you could get into. I just went to a Cal State school, and then, but even before all that, or after all that, once I left the house and I was making my own way, my parents really didn't help me much. And so, after my divorce, I really had nothing. So, I think my parents helped me in that they set me up, but like they paid for my college and stuff like that. But after my divorce at 35 to now, so I started really with nothing, like no job, I started with a Tempur-Pedic pillow and a Mitsubishi Montero. That's what I started with. Those are the only things I owned. So from that to where I'm at now, I have built just punching keys, thousands of blogs, thousands of videos, hundreds of podcast episodes, and of course obsession, and hard work and believing in self and all that, and tons of failure. And so I think that's my greatest achievement, is that I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I'm not a trust fund kid. I never raised any money. I just laid bricks, with words, I guess, for many years, 15 years to be exact. That's my greatest achievement. Okay, 20. There's a lot of fucking questions. I'm scared to look at how many people are in this live, because it's probably like 3. But it's okay. If you were to die and come back as a person or thing, what would it be? If I was to die and come back as I wouldn't want to come back as a thing. It's hard to say that I would want to come back as someone else, because you don't know how much peace people have, inner peace, and how torn they are. I mean, you could look at someone from the outside, like you take any celebrity, right? I mean, you look at Brad Pitt, right? Like what you look at Brad Pitt, and you think, like, what else could this person ask for, as far as like physically attractive, successful, famous? I mean, like, what does he not have? But I don't know him. I don't know what what his inner life is like. I mean, look at Robin Williams, right? So who would I want to come back as? I mean, the only answer would just be myself. I don't know, because I also don't think I'd come back as myself. I mean, let's get real. If you had a choice, there are many other people that there are many other people's lives that I would want to test drive, that I would want to live, and I wouldn't want to. I think a lot of people would say themselves as kind of like, the good answer or whatever, but fuck that. Why do you want to? I'd want to come back and drive a new car, meaning live a new life, like a different person's life. All right. 21. Where would you most like to live? This is a tough question, because I've really never been to many places. It's a little embarrassing to say. I always joke when people are like, where's the furthest you've gone? I'm like, Reseda. I went to Orange County once, San Diego. I haven't been to many places. I've been to Italy, Barcelona, Amsterdam. I don't have enough information. I don't know where I would like to live. I would like to visit New York City more, but I think as far as living, I think I still love LA. Part of it is the 365 motorcycle riding, right, because of the weather. But fall in New York, wow. If you have money, New York can be amazing. If you don't have money, New York can be a struggle. That being said, LA is also very expensive. What is your most treasured possession? One of the things I would say is my dad. When my dad passed, he had a cool tiger eye ring from the 60s. It's the only thing that I ever liked that he had, that he owned. Maybe like 2 of his shirts, because they were all like retro. And I took it and I got it resized, and I have that. So I like that a lot. That's a treasured possession. What else? I love my garage studio. I mean, I guess that's my house, but I love that part of my house. What do you regard as the lowest depth of misery? Oh my gosh, so depressing. I'm going to say the lowest depth of misery is being completely disconnected with self, whether that's because of, a marriage or your child or whatever, for whatever reason, and not doing anything about it. So your entire life, you are basically living very disconnected from self. So you don't really know yourself, you run away from self, you numb yourself, find value in other people and in love more than self. And that's how you live your entire life. I think that is suffering, and I think that is the lowest depth of misery. What is your favorite occupation? Well, can I just say I wanted to be a hairstylist, believe it or not, in high school. I love hair. I love working with my hands. I love creating. I thought it was very creative. And then for a moment, I wanted to be a police officer. I don't know why, just for a beat. And then, of course, I wanted to be a screenwriter. I also wanted to be a professional skater. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with skating. But I think my favorite occupation is what I'm doing now. I can't imagine. I don't know what else. I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't doing this. If I wasn't playing with my phone for a living, what would I be doing? I wanted to be a filmmaker. That was my big thing. Went to film school. But I gotta say, I'm not attracted to that anymore. It was such a glossy poster for me. Something that I was chasing. I always thought, especially growing up in Los Angeles, everyone comes here to get into entertainment. So whether you want to write, direct, or act, that's always the quad of the school, and that's where all the cool kids are. But if you grow up here, you kind of see behind the how the Hollywood sign is using that as kind of a metaphor. The Hollywood sign is beautiful on the outside, it's white, and it's sitting on in the Hollywood Hills, and then you go behind it and you realize that it's just cheap wood that's been propped up, right? Hollywood used to say Hollywood land. I think it's a great metaphor for the entertainment industry. That from the outside, it's beautiful and it attracts a lot of people. And then once you find out what the business is like, or how people are, it's very fear-driven, toxic. Some spaces. Oh my butt. Then it's like going to the back of the Hollywood sign where you see that it's propped up. And it's made of wood, and so I'm not that attracted to the film and television as I used to be. I think. That being said, would I pursue something in television? Absolutely, but I think it would be obviously with what I do. I don't think it'd be fiction. I don't think it's not like writing screenplays or anything. That's no longer a dream for me. What is your most marked characteristic? I was gonna say the resist nothing tattoo, but it's actually these marking marks. These I call them marking marks. These furrows, these deep. I look very angry with these things. I've had them since I was 14. I think I got them. I swear this is how I got them. I could be wrong, but I believe I got them because when I was younger, because I was a runt, and when I was breakdancing, they were all older than me, so I was like the runt of the crew, and I wanted the older kids to take me seriously, so I tried to look all hard, right? Because I wasn't I didn't have anything else. Not like I had muscles or anything. So in all the pictures, I never smiled. I also had jacked up teeth, so I was insecure about my teeth. So I always tried to look really hard, and I think that's when it started. I think years of not smiling in photographs is how I got these deep furrows. Who are your heroes in real life? Oof. Anyone who is practicing kindness, anyone who has the courage to hone and share their gifts, knowing that they are gifts from the universe, God, something greater than self, and they have a responsibility to share it with the world, right? Anyone who is honest with themselves and lives a life, shows up, lives a life. They don't just talk shit, they are actually trying to practice what they preach. Those are my heroes in this life. But I think it starts with kindness. You can have all those things, but if you're a dick, you're not going to be my hero. What are your favorite names? I'm gonna pass on that, just because it's like I have no value to add to that question. 32. What is it that you most dislike? That's so general. Well, my butt falling asleep is I don't like. Hey, but you know what? There's something wrong with me in that if I sit down more than the average person, my entire lower body falls asleep. Like I lose feeling fast, and this is not a good thing for a writer when you're on your ass all day in coffee shops, because when you stand up, you almost fall right back down. And I remember this moment. I was dating someone, and were we at a restaurant? We were at a restaurant or her apartment, and I was only sitting down for like 7 minutes, and my complete lower body, like no feeling, fell asleep. And I tried to stand up. I think we were going somewhere, but I stood up, and I just collapsed. I just collapsed like Weekend at Bernie's, like no, like just a fucking mannequin. I just fell, and I remember that because she laughed so hard she almost pissed her pants. All right. What is your greatest regret? I know the cool thing to say is you don't have any regrets, but I'll give you kind of a funny one, because it's not like a big regret, but I was talking about the furrows in my eye, my forehead. So one of the things that I'm most embarrassed about was so for my prom picture. Oh my gosh, my prom picture. So I had long hair, but I didn't discover the man perm, so it was like straight. And this is like 90s, so early 90s. This is like, remember In Excess and Pearl Jam and everyone had like long hair and all one length. So I had this one length hair that was like and the back it flared out, so it looked like a bell. So the back of my head looked like a fucking bell. And I just had this really bad long straight hair. It wasn't that bad because that was in back then, but on top of that, I never smiled in pictures. I didn't start smiling in pictures until probably 36, when I was like, dude, you gotta start smiling in pictures, man. You just look miserable. And so now I make sure to really smile. When you see a smile, if you see a photo of me smiling, we're every ounce that, you know how much energy that takes of me? I'm like doing everything I can to smile, to muster that, because I'm just not used to that. Anyway, this prom picture, I have this long bell fucking shaped hair, and I've got this tuxedo on, and I'm looking hard, like I'm in a gang, and it's my prom picture, and so my date's like this, and I'm like this. And I remember this is before digital cameras, so they just take like 1 or 2 photos. I remember getting the picture, and I was so embarrassed. Then of course I had to pass it out to the date, and I think she looked at it and she was like, I looked like an axe murderer. And anyway, I really regret not smiling in my prom picture. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's a legit regret. How would you like to die? Almost done. Only 2 more questions. Question 34. How would you like to die? Put it in the chat. I mean, the obvious answer is in my sleep, quietly, right? But I'll tell you how I would not like to die. So this is like a reoccurring nightmare. Have you guys seen The Vanishing, where who is it? Oh, Jeff Bridges captures people because he has a fake cast. I mean, the movie's terrifying because it's like a thriller, but it's like you watch it and you're like, holy shit, this could happen in real life. Jeff Bridges, one of my favorite actors, by the way, he's wearing a cast, a fake cast, and this is how he lures women, and he captures women, and he buries them alive in a coffin. And so the idea, because I'm claustrophobic, right? I have anxiety, I'm claustrophobic. Just thinking about it is making me panic. But being buried alive in a coffin, so dying in that confined space. So I would rather get eaten by a shark. I would rather get attacked by a bear than being buried. I mean, at least with the shark and the bear, you still have some kind of chance. But just being buried alive in a coffin is probably the that's how I would not like to die. All right, last question, number 35. What is your motto? Put in the chat what your motto is. What is your motto? I have many mottos, but the one that I would pick is all parts of your story will be used. I actually just got that tattooed on my arm. It's here. It's right here. All parts of your story will be used. Brand new tattoo last week. And I say that because I think most of us are so busy trying to rip out chapters because they're lined with shame, or what happened. And I think that our stories are the most valuable thing that we will ever own. And that no matter what you've been through, it will be used. It will be used because you going through that and growing from that, whether that was your childhood or a bad marriage or whatever, that will be used, So when I say that all parts of your story will be used, I'm not just saying the events that happen. I'm saying that who you are because the events have happened, that will be used. And ultimately, I think our stories are meant to be used to help other people. So not so much what we say, right? Not lecturing, not preaching, but how we lived. Thanks for hanging out.